You're listening to Hello Moxie with Nicole Donnelly. In each episode, we honor the unbreakable thread that connects the fierce women who came before us to modern-day pioneers carving their own paths. We'll share stories of unforgettable heroines, celebrate their courage, and bring to light the lasting impact they've had across generations. Get inspired by the stories of those who embody true Moxie and pave the way for others to follow. Hello Moxie is sponsored by DMG Digital, a woman-owned marketing consultancy dedicated to helping B2B companies and e-commerce brands create exceptional customer experiences.
Hello, this is a special episode of Hello Moxie today. I am so excited to be joined by my lovely daughter, Charlotte. And Charlotte and I were talking about the podcast, and I was telling a little bit about what I do and the guests I have on the show. And I thought, man, maybe she could come on and she could share some of her wisdom and her experience that she's had. So Charlotte, welcome to the show. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about you?
I'm 9 years old. It says that on my shirt. And my favorite color is blue, and my favorite food is watermelon.
She loves watermelon. Oh my goodness, we all do. Well, thanks for being on the show, Char. So how are you feeling about being on Mom's show?
I don't know. It's cool, I guess. Even though I don't listen to podcasts.
You just like the idea of it. Yeah. Well, so I want to start today, Charlotte, by asking you a question. And that question is, our show is all about women in history and the women who we admire in history. So tell our audience, who is a woman in history that you really admire?
I really admire Harriet Tubman, the way that she, even though she was scared, she kept pushing through and she believed in God.
I love that about her too. Did you know that Harriet Tubman is one of my favorite women in history too?
Yes, Mom, you've said that to me many times.
Yes, I really admire her for some of the same reasons. What I really admire about her is that she was brave enough to try to escape slavery. And so she was able to find her way, and she leaned on God and her spirituality to help know which ways to go, because she was going all by herself in the woods. She had no roads to follow. She didn't have anybody that she knew she could trust, but she knew she could trust God, and she knew she could trust herself. And I really admire that about her. But the other thing I really admire about her is that once she got to freedom,
she helped more people. She wasn't scared to help the other people because she knew what they were feeling.
She knew what they were feeling. Yeah, she had empathy for them.
Even though it was a really dangerous journey, she knew she had to do it to save the other people and for them to know what it feels like to be free.
Yeah, I think that's incredible. It's one of the things I admire about her, is that she thought beyond herself and she wanted to help other people. And she took some big risks to go back and do that.
Yeah.
And every time she relied on her own spiritual intuition and her relationship with God to help her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that today, Charlotte. So, you and I chat quite a bit, and you were helping me recently with some, Mom's having some business challenges, because when you own a business, you're constantly having issues and problems and solutions, or problems that you have to face all the time, and new things come up, and sometimes it's not so easy to know what you should do or what decision you should make. Yeah. And so we were talking the other day, and you gave me such good advice, and I thought it would be really good for our listeners to hear. What's your advice for maybe a leader or someone who owns a business, or maybe they're leading a team? They might be facing a challenge in their job or even at home, and they're not really sure how to fix it or what to do about it. What would you advise them?
Well, I learned in school, it connects to this. You can use it all the time for many problems. But so first you have to state the problem. So I asked you to state the problem. And your problem was, what was the problem?
Oh, I can't remember what the problem was. I have problems all the time. I think my problem was I was trying to decide what kind of services or path I wanted to do with my business moving forward, right? Yeah.
And so I told you to state the problem, and then you had to think of the solutions, and then you have to choose which solution is best for you and everyone and which one do you think will be better for the business?
I love that framework. So first, before you even know, you got to identify what is your problem. Then you come up with several different options. Yeah. And then what do you do to explore those options?
To explore them, you have to think what would happen if this happened. Think of the future of what would happen. Would it be better, or would it be worse, or would it still be the same?
So you got to think of the future. You got to think ahead a little bit and kind of make a prediction. And have you found that have you tried this before with any problems in your life before?
Not really.
No, but that's okay. But now you know when you have a problem what you can do. Yeah. I love that framework. That's really good. So identify the problem, come up with several options, and then make a decision. Yeah. Sometimes it's the making the decision part that's the hardest, because you have to commit to it and you have to stop. You have to choose not to do the other decisions, right? Yeah. Well, Charlotte, one of the things that I really, really admire about you is that you love to paint. You're really a great painter. And it's really quite special to watch you when you paint, because I can see how much you enjoy the process of just making something from nothing. And I love that you never really have this pressure to do it perfectly. So tell our listeners, what is it that you love so much about painting?
Well, in painting, there's not the exact path you have to follow. You just make it up as you go. That's what I like about painting. It's more fun making it up as you go and like using a picture in your mind and try and paint it. It makes it more fun. But if you just search up a picture on Google, it's like you're doing the exact same thing, and it's not like you're being creative. And and a lot of people say you get less creative when you get older. So it's like better, because you can stay creative and you can keep thinking of those wonderful ideas when you're older.
Yeah, I love that. So it's coming up with and trusting yourself to come up with your own ideas and following that and just doing what you enjoy on your own, right? That's cool. What's the favorite piece of artwork that you ever done?
Well, I don't know, but I did do this one that I loved. It was called, I think it was called Out of Space, or In the Space Beyond, or something like that. And so I didn't have, well, actually at first I had a picture in my mind. Well, not really, but like I had an idea. I wanted it to be like a solar system, but like not really the planet, just like the outer space in the beautiful galaxy and stuff. So I started out with adding a bunch of color because I wanted to be like mystic and like colorful instead of like black and white with stars. So then I added that, and then I tried to blend it as much as I could. I still think I could have done better doing that. And then I kept adding on this like white in the black part on the bottom, because I kept adding it on, and I was finally finished, and it was like Beyond the Galaxy, and that's where I thought of the name. It's like a colorful, beautiful galaxy that it would be really amazing to see in real life. So that's why I love painting, because you get to think of it and then just do it, and it's like you're actually there when you look at it.
That's lovely. And you want to know something really cool? That painting you just talked about is right behind you on my wall. Do you see it?
Oh, yeah, it is.
It's one of my favorites. And you know why I love it? Because you didn't follow any pattern or picture. It's all from your imagination. So whenever I see it, it kind of gives me a reminder that like, I don't have to follow any specific rules or framework. I can just do it my own way. And that's fun. That's the enjoyment, is when you get to do it your own way. Yeah? Yeah, I love that. So what are you looking forward to, Charlotte, this fall and the months ahead? What are you excited about?
Well, I'm excited about, I don't really know. It's all just like a bunch of, because like there's not really anything I'm really excited about that's super big right now. Besides Halloween, actually. I totally forgot about it. Halloween, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I love putting up the decorations.
You love putting up the decorations? Yeah.
And I found out this really cool new costume.
Yeah, are you excited about that? What's it going to be?
Okay,
Tell our
so
listeners, she came up with this all on her own.
yeah. So my aunt said, my uncle Spencer said she was like, you know how Dr. Pepper is like a soda, but then you can do so this is what my uncle did. He was a doctor, and then he put pepper on top. So it's like, what's it called, Mom?
A play on words kind of thing, but I know
Yeah.
what I can't think of the exact term.
So
instead of him being the canned Dr. Pepper, he dressed up as a doctor, and then he had pepper on his head.
Yeah. So that made me think of fruit punch right away. So, and also before I saw this guy, he was a fridge. And so I wanted to be a fridge, but it's perfect because I also wanted to be fruit punch. So I put fruit in the fridge, and I put these big, like, puncher things on my hands.
Like boxing gloves?
Yeah, boxing gloves, and be like, there's fruit, and there's fruit in the fridge, and there's a punch in my hand. So it's like but I did it like that instead of having like one. I did it like that because it would be obvious for the people when they open it, so they know right away.
And it's a surprise. You open the fridge, you see the fruit, and then you get a punch. Yeah. So are you going to actually punch people?
I don't know.
That'd be really funny. I guess maybe like gentle punch, like.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be such a fun costume. I love that idea. That's awesome. So my last question for you, Charlotte, is what advice would you give to other girls and women like you to help them in the future? What's something that you would like to tell the women listeners that would be maybe some things that you've learned that have helped you in your life, or advice that you'd like to give them?
Really, it's just thinking of those amazing stories that just keep you going when you're sad.
Okay.
You can think of them, or like the people that help you when you're sad. It really keeps you going in your life. Like if you're really disappointed, or you're really angry or sad, if you could maybe just think of a happy story, or think of one of your favorite stories, and it'll get you off your thing of being angry. And you'll forget about being angry, and you'll just laugh at the story or something, or like, yeah.
I love that advice. So your advice is really sound to really make sure that you have no stories, right? No stories that you can call on whenever you're feeling sad or angry or anxious, and those stories can help strengthen you.
Yeah. And whenever you're really angry, like I'm always really angry. Sometimes I was just angry because my mom made me take a shower. But I love to just push the wall and try and like break things and scream. And it's not a very like good way to do that. So it's better to just think of a story, and it'll make you happier. And it'll help you feel that. It'll help you like calm down, and maybe like use some of the ways that you like. If you love nature walks, you could go outside and walk, or think of your favorite story. For my example, Harriet Tubman, and think of that, and it will get distracted, and you'll take your mind off it, and then you won't be angry at them, and you won't hold a grudge at them after. Or you can think of a story instead of, when you're really angry at someone, instead of going out on them, just think of a story. Think of your favorite story, or think of something that makes you feel better, like a picture, or like your great grandma, or candy, and then try to calm down, and then you can ask them to stop doing that. A lot of problems, and you get really angry when you're younger, because a lot of problems come up when you're, but problems are good because they help you along the way. If there were no problems, then it would be like you would never learn from it.
That's so true. I love the way you look at problems as a positive thing and not a bad thing. That's important. The other thing I thought was really cool is that you made it. You're really advising people to identify what they're feeling and know when they're feeling angry, and say, "I'm feeling angry right now." Yeah. And know that it's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to be angry. Angry is not bad, but it's when you have a problem like that, it's how you deal with your anger. And I think you've given the listeners some really good tools that can help them. It's amazing how the stories from the past can help us.
Yeah.
Stories from women in history, stories from even people in our own family, how that can give us strength.
Yes, like if you're really scared, you could think of how Harriet Tubman was brave, so I can be brave and do this.
Yep, it's a really great way of an example. Yeah, that's true. That's such good advice.
Like, because Harriet Tubman, she was scared to run away, but she did it because she knew she had to, and she knew she wanted to because she knew she wanted to be free, and she knew she could believe in God to help her and guide her.
Yes. You know what's cool about that? She had a higher vision of what she wanted for her life and her future, and that was what helped her pull her forward.
Exactly.
What was her higher vision?
Well, her higher vision was that she knew God. She knew she could believe in God, and she knew she had to do this. She had to do this because she knew that she wanted to. She knew she wanted to leave because she knew because African Americans they don't deserve to be treated like this.
Exactly. Yeah. So she had a higher purpose. She wanted freedom.
Yeah.
And that was what pulled her forward.
And she wanted
She wanted justice.
Yeah, and she wanted other people to be free too. Like no matter how like stubborn or how whatever they were feeling, she was going to help everybody because she wanted everybody to be free, and she felt like African Americans shouldn't have slavery should be like defeated, you know.
Yeah.
She didn't believe in slavery. She thought of slavery as a bad thing, which most of the African Americans did. And she knew she had to save a lot of them because she knew that other people thought that way too.
Yeah.
So she did it. Instead of being afraid, she just went for it. Instead of thinking about it before, that'll make you scared.
Yeah, she just took action.
She just went for it.
Yeah. Such good advice. And I think it's really wise what you said about how she was still afraid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like she wasn't afraid. She was still afraid, but she just did it anyway because she had a higher purpose that she believed in very deeply. What's your higher purpose? Do you know yet?
No.
That's okay. You're young. You don't have to have it all figured out yet. You have time to kind of sort through that as you learn and as you continue to read books and go to school and spend time with your friends and your family. And come to know yourself more and know who you are and what your likes are, your higher purpose will come to you. And it changes sometimes too. It changes over time. So, well, thank you for coming on our show today, Charlotte. What a delight! This has been a really special episode for me to have you on the show and have you share some of your experiences. I think you gave us some really cool advice and things to think about. Will you come on the show again sometime?
Sure.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be so great. Well, thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time. That's a wrap for today's episode of Hello Moxie. I hope you felt that unbreakable thread connecting you to the women of the past, to the trailblazing pioneers of today. Their stories of audacity, resilience, and courage are a powerful reminder of what's possible for you when you choose to live with Moxie.